Welcome to our Marketing with a Purpose podcast episodes where we discuss and uncover new strategies for your business. Value is one of the key ingredients for your marketing mix. This podcast is for all industries with one topic that can move you forward in your business.
So here's what you're going to learn today in our podcast. Number one, video marketing boosts SEO. It really boosts SEO and drives traffic to your website. Number two, video marketing is an incredible tool to engage with your audience and capture their attention. Number three, when it comes to budgeting for video marketing, there is no one size fits all. There is a budget for everybody, a product for everybody, a platform for everyone.
I'm Carla Stiles with Coffee and Hustle, and joining me today is my co-host on today's episode, Maryn Graves, our Director of Multimedia. And today we're reviewing success with video marketing. Welcome, Maryn.
Hello.
I am so glad you're on today's show. Give us a little bit of your insights on video marketing right now.
So as we enter into, 2022, I think that so many of us do so cautiously, and yet so many do very excited. We've got a lot of new opportunities and strategies everybody's reviewing. They're reviewing their end of year goals and kind of what has worked for them in the past and what didn't work in the past year. But overall, I think that if you haven't yet thought about incorporating video marketing, it's something that you kind of can't even consider. You just have to do it. You really need to include it. It's something that's very valuable, and there's a lot of data to back that up. There's a lot of research to back that up. But if we're talking about the benefits, you're talking about, if you're looking into 2022, you really should put a lot of focus on SEO. What's going to drive traffic to your website? How are you going to get people there? How are you going to get them to engage? Stay on that landing page, shop around a little bit. But I think that video marketing is one of the key ways to do that. You get people to click.
Yeah, and I think that in some ways or another, we have to think about the different types of marketing strategies now where static photos can only go so far emotionally. And when you step it up into the video marketing aspect, that just takes it up another level. So what types of video marketing do you talk about when you go to speak to a client? What is those types of marketing videos that we should do?
Well, I think that as you sit down for a consultation, you have to really get a good tone of voice of what is that business all about? What's the product, service, or solution that they provide? And then, if they're a corporate, there's a ton of videos that are going to fit that mold, that are going to show off those types of products. But say you have a small to mid-sized business, they've got a lot of personality that they want to show off, and that's not currently being reflected in their branding. That's something you want to make sure that's going to resonate in your video marketing and your video products. You want to show off your personality. So there's a lot of different ways. You can do commercials, you can do the 15, 20, 30-second slots if you're going to be a larger company or a corporation or a small business. But when you're talking about the different types, there's just an assortment. You've got storytelling, you've got, in fact, I'm going to use my little handy dandy drawing board here. Okay, so, you've got explainer video, you've got product demonstration, you've got behind the scenes video, testimonial videos, which are huge, employee highlight videos, webinars. That's going to be huge for a corporation, especially in the current, climate. But you really want to sit down at this consultation. It's got to feel for the tone of voice, their brand strategy. And I think that the best thing you want to do is really focus on, especially if they're new to video, focus on two types of video that they're going to tackle that year. Maybe you want to do video testimonials, really showcase what people have to say, the personality that's going to resonate with your consumer and show off their personal experience. But then maybe you want to show off some personality and do some behind the scenes videos as well.
Well, I agree with you. I think video marketing is definitely one of the areas that people are now getting more comfortable because, some people are not comfortable in front of the camera. They're afraid of how they sound or they look. And I think that is the job of the video director, right? That's your job, to make sure they feel comfortable in front of the camera, that they're expressing their brand message in front of them, so they're able to tell their story the way they want to. How do you make them feel in front of the camera? How do you do that?
Oh, absolutely. Being comfortable in front of the camera can be one of the more difficult things to tackle. And I think that for me personally, I actually force myself a couple times a year, if not more so, and now more so with you, but to get in front of the camera and to remind myself just how uncomfortable it is, because you want to coach people through those little variables and obstacles. I don't think you can just tell somebody, for lack of a better expression, suck it up and do it. You really want to tell people, hey, I'm here to be your cheerleader and coach you, and you have a beautiful story to tell. You have something to share with people. Let me help guide you in doing that. Sometimes it can be the simple change of pace in your camera angle. Instead of having them speak directly into the camera, teleprompter style, a lot of people do storytelling in a much more compelling way. If they're looking off camera and it's more engaging, it's going to get your audience more engaged with your product because they feel part of the conversation. But at the end of the day, getting people comfortable with being in front of the camera, it can be an obstacle, but I can help coach you through that.
Well, and then I also think that once you develop the storyline of that video, and you can take segments of those pieces and you can redistribute it, because I do think that's important, is being able to get it on the different platforms. And we do look at YouTube, all the social media platforms, including Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. When you look at that, those segments, is it harder for you to be able to tell your story from that 1 to 2 minute and be able to segment just those sections out? I mean, do you have a little bit harder time editing those, or is it just natural for you to go, this is the piece of video that needs to be on social media?
I think for me, knowing, again, when you sit down at the consultation, how you want to go about your video, where you want to put it at the end of the day, before you even start production. Now, you can do that after the fact, but when you're intentional in the whole pre-production process, you're going to have a higher success rate coming out of it when you go to edit and do post-production. You're going to know what you have in front of you. It's going to be more efficient, more seamless, and more effective at the end of the day, because it's going to have a purpose. There's going to be more value in that production. You're going to pull more valuable content. And so when you go to segment it out, you also want to know what platforms are the most beneficial for what types of products and what type of length. If you're going to do YouTube, you might have a shorter attention span. You might want to do a demonstration video where it's a how-to, and that's going to be knowledge-based, and that's wonderful. You're going to get an audience that's going to be in it for the long haul because they're clicking to figure out how to do something. But at the same token, if you're doing a brand product or a product, you want to make sure that you're staying within a certain window. I think comfortably 30 to 90 seconds, or you're going to lose the attention span of most audience members. Like I was saying earlier, I think that we're in everybody knows this, it's a highly saturated technology world. We're in everything's click of a button, instant gratification. But the attention span, I mean, it's limited these days, Yeah,
and so do you think that, and honestly, okay, even if the client comes and meets with their marketing department or a new marketing department, do you think that they should also know what questions to ask? Because it's important to do a little research before you meet with your marketing agency, because the marketing agency may have something different in mind and their presentation might be a little off. But does the client, do they need to do some sort of research, figure out, go on YouTube, looks to see if they find videos that resonate with them, that speaks their language, and saying, hey, this is my idea, because sometimes what we have in our head down on paper might be totally different. So do you give that advice out to clients as saying you need to do some sort of research as well before you come to meet with an agency?
Oh, absolutely. A little bit. You want to do your due diligence a little bit. And here's why. When we sit down at a consultation, the reason we're creating these videos is because their information, their storytelling, and behind the scenes information isn't yet out there. So we don't even know that client well yet. And so for them to go on to YouTube or Vimeo or anywhere and get a sense of what they're looking for, it's going to have a little bit more passion in the whole production process. And they're going to play a key part in it. But at the same time, we can pitch ideas based off of their business model and their marketing goals and their budget. But at the end of the day, we want to know kind of what tone of voice are you looking for? What resonates most with you? Are you looking for a passionate storytelling, or are you looking for something jazzy and fast-paced? We may be surprised sitting down at a consultation. We have been before, but we can offer ideas. But if they do a little bit of due diligence, we're going to be on a path to success.
Yeah, and I think that that's so important to know that we're speaking the same language as the client, and we're sitting down with them with being able to build their story brand. And we're not doing just one-time video, segments. We're creating a series because we don't want just a one-time deal video for the client, because I do think there's so much more to the video development now, especially with now LinkedIn being really a great organic structure as far as social media. We still draw numbers, so that we're continuing building that. It is up to us as marketing agencies to continue to build their marketing platform. So my question, I think, is like, what are some of the benefits when it comes to video marketing? When we're doing that, what do you want to get out of that with the client?
Oh, I think that the real number one is getting that evoking emotion, right? You want that emotional connection. So many people are, again, in this fast-paced world, we're clicking on everything, instant gratification. You have all this information at your fingertips, yet you can feel so disconnected. Video allows you to reconnect with people in a really genuine, emotional way. And it helps you to build that likability, relatability with your clientele, with your target audience, and maybe without ever speaking with them in person, but it's still genuine. They get to actually see a glimpse of what's happening behind the product.
And so how do you budget for video marketing? What is some of the things that clients need to know how to budget for marketing? Because they're just getting started. They're trying to get a website built. They're trying to get their social media platforms on. What is that suggestion of, like, what would the cost of it is to, for them to put in their budget? What does that look like estimated wise?
Well, I think I reviewed this in depth, and I think there's a lot of statistics on it, but at the end of the day, it's kind of what return on investment do you want? Because at the end of the day, what you put in is what you'll get out. And so I think that, minimally speaking, you should really put, 30% of your overall budget into marketing. Maybe 25% of that, you should really start to invest in video marketing. You almost can't afford not to. The research has genuinely proven that it's results driven. You're going to boost your SEO if you have video marketing on your side, if you actually produce things. And I just think it's a really beneficial thing. I always kind of say that, and you've heard this tagline from me before, that communication is the key to success. And we need to keep the conversation going. And with video marketing, you really can do that in a genuine, authentic, real way.
Yeah, I think setting aside a real true budget, really looking what looks like what your marketing should do, look and see what social media platforms you really need to be on, pay attention to your marketing this year alone as something that people need to reevaluate, so that when they're going into the next year or the year after that, they continuously build this part of the platform. So I want to say thank you for this episode. I think this is a really interesting piece of the business that people really kind of put off, and they go, let me put that into my budget in the middle. And it's kind of like, you just want to have some thought process when you're doing it. And you do want a real good marketing video editor that can tell your story. And I really think you can do that. So today's podcast was the success with marketing with video and how we go about doing that with Maryn Graves. Continue to build this type of platform with us. And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Of course. It was lovely. Thank you.
Recognizing new opportunities for small to mid-sized businesses is the perfect time to reflect on new, fresh marketing strategies. The first step is to ensure your brand message is consistent and cohesive across all social media platforms and is relevant to your marketing strategy and company goals. This is what this podcast is all about.